Happy Thanksgiving morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is Thanksgiving morning. It is 10 o'clock. We're 2.5 hours away from the Lions kicking off, and I got to do Thanksgiving dinner. And it doesn't look like I've started shit. But looks can be deceiving, because I got right here, I got my potatoes that are cooking for mashed potatoes. I got a pot of greens right there. Gonna make my mustard and brown sugar glaze for the ham. Turkey's already in there. I got 2 pans of stuffing right there. I got a thing of beans in here, baked beans. I got sweet potatoes, and I've got the broccoli that just needs the cheese sauce. And I don't have to do the macaroni and cheese because my wife's gonna do that. I'm good to go. I'm on cruise control right now, heading in here for Thanksgiving. Hope that whoever's cooking your dinner has got it going like that too, because there's nothing worse than being stressed out over the holidays. You got a whole bunch of people that are coming over. You're trying to cook the perfect meal, and your hair's on fire. The key on it is planning, okay? I started this last night. I made a bunch of my side dishes, my broccoli and my sweet potatoes and my beans and things. Got that out of the way first thing. I actually chopped up all my onions and celery for the stuffing last night. So all I had to do was melt the butter and throw that stuff in there, put it on top of the bread, because the bread I already took out 2 days ago so it would dry out. Planning is the key to everything. Without a plan, there's nothing to enact. You're just winging it. And that's the problem that you have in life. If you plan things out, you will get a better result. Now, I don't know if the Cowboys had a plan this year. I don't know. It may be just plain dumb luck with everything that's happened with them. That they probably planned on signing Micah Parsons and figuring, we'll sign him and we'll figure out how we can try and add some, low budget pieces to go with him. Hey, Leroy, some low budget pieces to go with him, and it would have been the status quo. It may have been just that at the last minute, shit just went south, and they realized this ain't gonna happen, and they ended up having to just kind of say, what's the best deal we can get? I think in the long run, it's going to end up being a great thing for both teams. Now, you know what would be crazy? Because here's the problem with Green Bay. Green Bay's problem, because they've got the early game, Green Bay and the Lions. There's so many games that are going to affect the Cowboys situation. I've pointed out numerous times how the NFC North still has a lot of games that are going to happen between themselves. So looking at the Lions and Green Bay, either one of those that lose helps us. But I think it could be the Green Bay Packers, because I think Jordan Love is the weak link in that chain. Wouldn't it be crazy if somehow the Cowboys made the playoffs and Green Bay didn't? I know that sounds crazy, but I think Green Bay's got to face the Bears at least once or twice. They got to face the Lions, I think, twice. They've got a tough schedule. They do have a very, very tough schedule. Same with the Bears. The Bears have to... the easiest game the Bears have right now is Cleveland. And you think about Myles Garrett, and maybe they found something with Sedor. I know people are saying, yeah, well, he only had a couple of real passes. Well, weren't they like 50 yards and for scores? Just saying. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. Josh Allen got mollywopped by the Texans. And I'll say that the Colts, that things could be turning, that maybe they peaked too early with Daniel Jones and the glass slippers are going to fall off. But back to the whole thing about planning. Sometimes you get lucky and shit just falls in place with no rhyme or reason. Now, there were rumors that the Cowboys were trying to get Quinnen Williams before, and the Jets didn't bite on it. If that's true, then that was their guy all along. Now, they did say when they were trading with teams with Micah Parsons, they were looking to trade him with somebody that had defensive tackle help. I don't know what the big awakening is now with the Dallas Cowboys, that they realize the interior defensive line is where you need to be strong. Excuse me. Excuse me. But I give credit where credit's due. I have to give credit to DMV, who said the most profound thing that really should be obvious. And that is, if you can control the middle of the field, you control the field. Now, he got it from somebody else, he told me, and saying, so I'm passing it on to other people. So you guys can pass it on for me. When you look at the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, the tackles are our weakness. And typically that is a big, big problem because your quarterback's getting lit up. I'm going to say they're not the worst tackles in football. We've seen Chaz Greens here before. But fortunately, we've got Big Nate because people have been benched or people are getting injured, and Big Nate has been able to swing to either side. But the key on the Cowboys offensive line that nobody's really talking about is the interior of that offensive line. Cooper Beebe, bro, I don't know what his Pro Football Focus rating is. I can guarantee you it better be higher than Landon Dickerson for the Eagles. And Tyler Booker, bro, the Cowboys got one with that guy. As a rookie going against Jalen Carter, Jalen Carter didn't do shit. And Smith, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter couldn't do jack because they controlled the middle of the field. And Javonte Williams, who I believe is the 5th leading back in the NFL, with 5 yards a carry, is able to run for 87 yards against that defense. And back to the other side of the equation, we can't look and say that we've got, Myles Garrett on the edge or anything like that, or Micah Parsons. But across that defensive front, that interior defense, the middle of the field, they're controlling. And you can see the difference that makes, because typically, as everybody always says, oh, the Cowboys, they had great teams, but we didn't have an interior defensive line like that. And when it gets cold, you need to do 2 things, and the 2 things that the Dallas Cowboys have not been able to do when it comes to playoffs. Run the football and stop the run. When you look at those San Francisco games, it's easy to point at Dak and say Dak sucks. But when you're looking at a team that, including him running for like 27, 28 yards, is getting like 60 yards on the ground, and they're able to rush for like 170, chances are you're not going to win those games. Now, what I need to see today, friends, is the opportunity for the Cowboys to really grab a hold of a spot, or at least not a spot, but to kind of stake a claim that we're coming for your meats, that we are a good team. If you can win 3 games in a row, and 3 games in November against some of the best teams in football. I know Kansas City is 6-5 right now, but they were in the Super Bowl last year, and they won the Super Bowl the year before, and they got Pat frickin' Mahomes over there, and Chris Jones. So don't tell me they're not a good team. If you can beat that team after beating the Eagles, all of a sudden you start feeling pretty good about yourself, and you've got a chance then to claw your way back into playoff contention. If you lose, it's not over. Some people say we can lose 1 game and maybe make the playoffs. I don't want to take that chance. I need to see my guys run the tape. And as tragic as Marshawn Nealon's passing was, and see, this is where, this is my thoughts. The first game they played without Marshawn Nealon was on the road. You had his jersey. You're on the road. Now you come back to AT&T Stadium. And now you're in a locker room that's familiar to you. You know where his locker is. You know you've seen that guy there. in that locker. You've seen that guy going to the training room and getting taped up. You've had conversation. The ghost of Marshawn Nealon is there. His spirit is there. And that's a big emotion for you. And I think they went out on the field, and that emotion, they weren't ready to get started. That it took them some time to settle down and gather themselves. It's hard when you lose somebody. It is really hard when you lose somebody. So, the Cowboys now have the benefit of getting players on the field that haven't played in a year, that have now gotten 2 games under their belt, that are going to get better as time goes on. It's Savon Ravel and Overshone. And you're going to look at that and you say, yeah, Cowboys defense played good against the Raiders and the struggling Eagles offense. Yeah, they got great pieces. They got great pieces. But they ain't putting those pieces together right now. And their offensive line is kind of beat up. If the Cowboys can do something with Kansas City, which might be the most watched regular season game in football history, then we can say maybe this is a defense. But until then, we'll see. Sadly, as much as I've enjoyed, why we got to beat the Eagles on a short week? Why we got to beat the Eagles? I haven't had enough fun yet. I have not had enough fun, bitch slapping the Eagle fans. But it is what it is. This game, if we lose it, makes the win against Philadelphia mean absolutely positively nothing. And I'm not ready to be thinking about next year. I'm not ready to be thinking about the draft, although we are looking at getting the space. Yeah. I'm not ready to start thinking about next year. I need my Cowboys to get a win. Plain and simple. Alrighty, good people. I've been doing some work in the man cave. It's amazing how technology changes. When COVID happened and I was basically making an outdoor studio, I ended up, because you had cable boxes and I didn't want to have, I already had 8 cable boxes in the house. I didn't want to have a cable box for every single TV. And that was really the beginning of being able to stream the regular broadcasts and stuff. So now that I have YouTube TV and got rid of all the cable boxes, you don't need an HDMI cable to all of them. I ran because everything that I had when I had the outdoor studio was literally run for the computer inside. So I had 4 HDMI cables that went out there. I got USB cables. I got headphone, wire that's audio visual wiring. I got like 3 USBs. So I literally have a hole through the house conduit this big to carry all of that. In the back of my computer, I've got 8 monitors that are in there. There are 2 of them that are 9. That they're mirrored, so that way wherever I'm sitting, I have the monitors for the system. They now have HDMI wireless pieces. And so I got one just to see how well it worked, and it worked great. In fact, the picture looks better than with the HDMI cable that's underneath the carpet and everything. So I didn't know if I could use 2 of them if they're on a different frequency or not. So I ordered a second one. And I've already eliminated a stack of cables like this. There's like 25-foot HDMI cables that are, some of them you spent $50 for. And it's obsolete. So I'm going to do all these wireless things. I even got the microphones now. They've got the transponder and receivers and stuff for those. So all those things that you used to have to do, don't have to do, because the technology's gotten that much better. Yeah. To think, I used to watch football on a TV that was a piece of furniture this big with the screen like this. And you had to get up and push a button to change the channel. And it didn't go backwards. It would go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it would go back to 2, 3. Yeah. It's amazing. The fact that I'm sitting here on a cell phone recording and can send it up to the internet. It's like some Dick Tracy shit here. Because Dick Tracy, he had a watch that he could talk to people on. And we were like, oh my God, it's space age, man. That's some crazy shit. It'll never happen. Yeah. Right before our eyes. Peace and chicken grease.